was the first time I believe you'd closed with Lauri in a little bit. What went behind this decision to try that, and how do you think he did?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they threw kind of a unique lineup out there. They went with Nance and Love and Jared Allen. They were playing big, and I think they were trying to get Love matched up maybe with a smaller guy to post a little bit. And I kind of stay with that lineup a little bit. We weathered that storm. We got back up, I think, by maybe 10 or 11 again, and then we had a hard time scoring. And I just thought with the ball in Coby's hands and Vooch, those two guys, I just felt like we needed maybe another shooter and floor spacer out there. And I think Daniel made some big shots to kind of weather that little stretch for us when they kind of cut it to, I don't know what it was, 6, maybe 3. He made a couple big threes, which were huge for us. But I also think like the floor spacing for Vooch with Lauri out there just enabled us to maybe, because I felt like we were going to need to score some, and we were having a hard time, and they were obviously scoring, and I just thought maybe Lauri out there could give us some spacing, and obviously he made a big shot as well.
Yeah, and I know it's bigger than just one guy. It's all about the team, but just in general, what was it like to see a bounce-back game for him? He'd been in single digits, I think, 5 straight games.
Well, the two guys that I'm really, really proud about, is Lauri and Coby. In particular, in not one more than the other, but in particular, the fact that, Coby, I think he had 27 points last night, and then he comes back tonight and he can't make a shot really, and he goes 2 for 10. But I thought he played winning basketball. I thought he did a good job running the team. He took care of the ball. He got us in and out of stuff. I thought he competed like crazy on the ball. Certainly without Sexton last time we played them, Garland really had his way. And I think for Lauri coming off the bench, and doing what he did, like this to me is development. They need to understand how to impact winning. And I felt like hopefully both guys took a step in that direction, that if whether or not they're making shots or missing shots, they still can have an impact on the game. And Lauri didn't make shots last game. And you know what? He did some more things today. I thought, he posted up a couple times. He drove to the basket, even though he didn't finish. I thought he went in there hard to rebound. He did a lot of really good things. And they've just got to understand, as young players, that, it's not about their particular development or where they were drafted or, all that stuff. It's about like, are you impacting the group in a positive way? And I think those guys, going through what they've gone through, being starters, not starters, now Coby being back, both those guys, I think, hopefully are continuing to grow and develop in that area of how they can impact the game.
Thanks, Billy.
Sam, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I actually wanted to follow up a little on Lauri. I suppose you could have been talking about a number of guys yesterday when you mentioned adversity and, had a long soliloquy, but it seemed a lot of that was aimed at Lauri. 5 straight games, single digits, going to the bench seemed to have, an impact on him. How much of that, and do you think that, the benching really did have a mental effect on him that affected the way he approached the game?
Yeah, I don't want to speak for Lauri, Sam. I mean, I'm sorry I went on a soliloquy last night, but
it was good.
It was okay. Thank you. No, like I think when you're trying to win, there's all sacrifices across the board. Thad came in and started. We needed to do maybe something a little bit different with Zach being out. He's totally open-minded, and he'll figure out a way to impact the game from whatever role he's in. And, I think for younger players like Lauri, like Coby, when they're getting an opportunity to play, I don't look at it as a demotion or a benching. I don't look at it like that. To me, a demotion or a benching would be they're not even in the rotation anymore. And I've said all along, those two guys are really, really important pieces to our team, and they're really, really two really good young players. But they have not won, at a very significant level. I mean, and I'm not blaming either one of them for them. There's 5 guys out there. It takes a team, and it's not directed towards anybody. It's just the reality of at the end of the years that they've been in the league, they haven't won a lot. And we haven't won a lot this year. To be quite honest with you. And they need to learn how to do that and what goes into that. And whatever Lauri's minutes are, and whether it's 15 or it's 27 tonight, what kind of impact does he make where he's saying, you know what, they're going to have to keep me on the floor. I do too much. I rebound, I run the floor, I defend, I protect the rim. If I'm not shooting, I do other things. And I think this is part of their growth and development. And I think Lauri is a very, very talented, gifted player with a lot of length and size. And there's a lot of things that he can do in the game, in my opinion, just besides being a stretch shooting guy. And there's been plenty of guys like him in the league that are very, very one-dimensional. And he is young enough right now that I don't think he wants to be put into a situation for himself in his career in a box where he's just a catch and shoot guy. He's got to be multidimensional. He's got to do more things. But if his shot's not falling, he's got to do things on the defensive end of the floor. He's got to do things on the backboard. He's got to do things to run the floor and get easy baskets. He's got to take opportunities inside of our offense to duck in up and post up. Like I thought he did all those things today. And he's, whatever minutes he's getting, he needs to try to make an impact and figure out how can I help the group. And when I'm out there on the floor, I'm really impacting the outcome of games. And, I think that, tonight it was great to see. I think it speaks a lot to Larry's character that, yesterday it wasn't a great night for him. And then he came back and, he played well tonight. I think it speaks to Coby's character too, that he had 27 points and was 2 for 10 tonight, but I thought he had a huge impact on the game. I think it speaks to both of those guys, as I think wanting to be, good players, evolve and grow. But yesterday's comments were not directed towards Lauri at all. It was not directed towards him. It was just in general.
How much, partially obviously without Zach, but how much strategic wise, are you slowing the game? You need to slow the game. You kept the Cavs out of transition quite a bit. Fast breaks, which were a problem the other night, has to be your strategy now, going forward, especially without Zach.
Well, I think it's twofold, Sam. It's a good point. I think even when Zach was there, we've slowed a little bit. One of the things that's happened is when we are a little bit slow and we're playing through our bigs, our turnovers are down. I didn't think we fouled as much tonight. I totally agree with you. I thought the difference in the game last night was, to your point, it was 23-8 in transition points. And I think that they made more free throws than we took. That was a huge factor in the game. So we're not a team that gets to the free throw line abundantly, and we've got to really make sure we defend without fouling. And we've got to, when the game does get slow, we got to take away transition points, and we were better at that tonight. We were not very good last night at that, to be quite honest. And we've been a pretty good transition defensive team, one of the better teams in the league transition wise, but last night was not great.
Thanks.
Joe Cowley, go ahead, please.
Hey, Billy, kind of piggyback off your first, the KC question. There weren't a lot of categories that you guys had separation in tonight with them. You lost rebounding, but it did seem like there was that urgency and there was that physicality. And obviously I know you're going to have to watch film to kind of get a full verification of that. But did you get that sense that you just saw a team that wanted it more, and while the stats didn't fall in your favor, there's other things and other ways to impact the game?
I think so, Joe. I really felt like we competed. I was disappointed to start the game. I mean, they ripped off 15 points in like the first 4 minutes. I mean, I thought we were on course for another 130-point game defensively. And give those guys credit, they got themselves together. And I think the remaining part of that first quarter, we held them to 25 points, and we got off to a poor start. Even when we weren't making shots in that fourth quarter, we really, really competed. I'm hopeful, Joe, that what happened tonight can be, hopefully a growth moment in some ways to what you just said. There was a lot of physicality. I thought we gave incredible effort. I thought, to your point, we played with that urgency. We had that desperation where I felt like we were desperate out there. We were moving around. We were trying to cover for each other. When balls went up on the backboard, we were trying to go get them. When the balls got on the floor, we were in there trying to scramble. I thought our guards battled over top of screens. I thought there was a resistance and a persistency there. That part of it was really good. And I give those guys credit because that's how we have to play and that's who we have to be. And to answer your question, I felt that way from the bench. Obviously, watching the film, I'll say I'm sure we've made plenty of mistakes, but I don't think you could fault their urgency or their intensity or how they were trying to play the game tonight.
Thanks, Billy.
Thank you.
Christos, go ahead, please.
Hello, Coach. Hope you are doing well. I would like to ask you, what did you like most about on the way that your team closed the game tonight, and how different is the dynamic when the bench players are so effective? How different is the dynamic of the team overall?
Yeah, I thought we got really good production from our bench, which was really positive. I think the encouraging part was, there's going to be swings in games. There's going to be ebbs and flows in games. This was one of those games tonight where, we got up by, 12 or 14, maybe more than that. And they kind of cut it all the way down to 3. And, we had to respond, and the guys did. They did it, on the defensive end of the floor, getting stops, because I think as the quarter, was unfolding, in particular that fourth quarter, they were on course to have a huge quarter. And, we got some really key stops and some key rebounds. And, I thought when they did cut it to 3 and Lauri made that 3, it got it to 6. We got another stop, and then we scored again. And I think Vooch made a 3. We had some really good offensive possession. So, that's what we're going to need to be. We're going to have to fight and be resilient and battle through those moments when, maybe the game's not going well in a particular point in time. And again, I think when we did sub there in that first half, and Denzel, I thought, played really well in the second half, we got good production from those guys.